In this video, I'm going to show you the best home treatment for degenerative disc disease of the lumbar spine. Degenerative disc disease or osteoarthritis is best characterized by decreased disc height, bone spurs, facet, joint, and ligament thickening. Studies show that your body and your spine are very adaptable. That's why many people with degenerative disc disease of the lumbar spine have no symptoms. However, the most common symptoms that people will have is low back pain, stiffness, sciatica. If the degeneration continues to progress, it'll progress into lumbar spinal stenosis, and with that, it's going to come the inability to walk or stand for long periods of time. The most common cause of degenerative disc disease or osteoarthritis is trauma to the joint. One or more of the spinal joints get locked up. And those joints become dysfunctional, so you have a dysfunctional spinal joint, and for joints to be healthy, they have to have motion in it. If they don't, they become unhealthy and they break down. The reason why is because your spinal discs have a poor direct blood supply. And the way that they get nutrients in, waste products out, is through motion of that specific joint. So by providing motion to that specific joint, it'll cause negative and positive pressures that will draw nutrients and fluids into the joint and push out waste products. And that motion, that hydration, that imbibition of the fluid into the joint, that is what keeps that degeneration at bay. That's what's going to correct your degenerative patterns of lumbar degenerative disc disease. This spinal degenerative disc program should be performed daily. Make sure you check with your healthcare provider, make sure this is correct for you. Number one is hydration. Hydration, you want 1 ounce of water for half your body weight. I like to put a pinch of Celtic sea salt in, get the proper trace minerals. In the afternoon, many times I will use Element, which is electrolyte replacement drink. So it's very important that you hydrate before you start your exercises. Number two is you want to get motion into the spine. You want loading and unloading type of exercise in order to draw fluid in and push the waste products out. So you want to promote that. The best way to do it, though, is to get a vestibular disc, these little discs, and overinflate it. You want to do it even more than this. It creates a smaller diameter. You want it closer to the human disc size. So you can sit on this, and you want to brace abdominal muscles, and you want to do specific movement patterns. So we want to start off flexion extension. You want to start off small motion at first, and you can start getting bigger motions as you get warmed up. You want to do a minimum 50 motions of the spine here. The next motion is just lateral flexion. We call it the hula. And it's going to laterally bend the spine. It's going to lengthen some of the QLs, the obliques. Then once it gets a little more loose, then you can bring your arms up, get the lats. You want to do minimum 50 each side. When you're doing this, it's heating up those joints, it's drawing those fluids in, pushing the waste products out. Next thing you want to do is grab your elbows. You want to do rotations. Make sure you keep the abdominal areas braced. And you want to rotate side to side. Do about 50 rotations each side. Number three is going to be the spinal twist. So you want to come in and lie on your back. You want to brace abdominal muscles, lift your feet off the ground. You want to rotate side to side very slowly. When you stretch side to side, you're actually going to be kind of stretching these areas, but it's under tension. So you're actually going to get the QL, the obliques, part of the lats. And you want to go slowly, rotate about 5 to 10 times each side. The QL has that tendency as you sit to get real tight, and that can compress the spine. You want to free that up. Number four is the stance. So with the stance, we're putting it all together. You want to line the feet up. You want to get the feet hip width apart, the toes lined up with the knees, knees with the hips, and you want to screw the feet into the ground. So it's almost if you're pushing out this way, but nothing's happening. Pushing through the big toe. Don't roll over it. Push through the big toe. So it creates a torque. When you're creating that torque, it's actually causing the glutes are actually engaged. So you engage the glutes, you screw the feet into the ground, you engage the glutes, and then you brace abdominals. Now, when you're bracing abdominals slightly, like someone's hitting you in the stomach, it could be just like a 10% contraction, but that actually creates a traction force on the lumbar spine, which is going to help decompress that spine. So you want to use this conscious repetition of setting the stance of the feet, screwing them in the ground, the glutes contracting, abdominals contracting, and then you bring your ears back over center with the abdominals being braced. And if you can keep working that as you're standing, talking to people, or you go for a walk and you stop at the stoplight, you stand there and reset your stance, you're at the market, you want to keep doing that because you're consciously programming the subconscious mechanism of your stance or your posture. And that will allow for a natural decompressive forces of the lumbar spine and help decrease the degenerative processes from happening. Studies show that if you can eliminate processed sugar and processed foods, that it'll decrease the inflammation in those areas and it'll decrease the chance of building up degenerative disc disease. Next is what I do is I do a lot of inversion therapy or inversion decompression. I was trained by Dr. Martin, who invented the inversion boots, and there's specific programs to where you can actually become dynamic and exercise upside down to decompress all the joints and the joints of the back and hydrate the spine as it stretches and elongates and helps strengthen some of that tissue. Inversion therapy is something that you definitely got to talk to your doctor about, and you should start off slow. That's why you should get an inversion table would be the best way to start, to where you can just oscillate the table and start getting used to being upside down until eventually you can learn to do the inversion therapy. But make sure you check with your doctor first. And the last thing is what I call it's Maasai jumps in the pool. When you do Maasai jumps, all you're doing is you're standing to your chest or by your shoulders and you bounce in the pool. Because you're going to have that less weight on those areas, you're going to help keep tension as you bounce off your toes through repetition. You put tension through the fascial system. When you do that, it's going to help with your stance when you're practicing your stance and condition from the feet through the knees and hips, all up through the spine, and it'll allow it to all work better on the same page and be conditioned. So you usually want to do about 3 or 4 sets of 10 of those jumps while you're in the pool. So proper hydration, 1 ounce of water for half your body weight, with the minerals, Celtic sea salt, along with the wobbling, the loading and unloading to get motion into the spine. Spinal twist to help balance those muscles, to lengthen them, to get them relaxed. Then you can perform your stance so you can help consciously program the subconscious posture to help decompress those areas so your body can reverse some of the process of the lumbar degenerative disc disease.